Hey everyone, it's Dave 2. I just got done editing a video that we recorded back in November. It was recorded on Zoom, so it's going to be bad, but we've switched over to Riverside FM. That'll be a lot better. I can look at individual videos, I can look at individual audio and get everything sounding great. If you checked out the other underground video for our monthly news that was released yesterday, everything's looking a lot better. This video is for a task that I put out in October to the group, and it was pretty much a banger. I was talking with David Powell and we were discussing, wouldn't it be fun to go predict a movie or something? So I got even weirder with it and I was like, let's do a movie, but let's have it be digital, because everyone's always saying you can't view AI targets, you can't view 3D targets. Challenge accepted. So I tasked everybody with Moana 2. That was Moana's my daughter's favorite movie. And Moana 2 is coming out around Thanksgiving time. So in mid-October, I tasked that. All of the viewers synced up, which was awesome. They all got that there were like 5 characters who were going into some underground world. There's magic and mysticism and all this wonderful stuff, cultural things, boats. It was a wild ride. So we have a really good video for that, and that's why I'm releasing this one. Now, when I was doing my stuff, and the reason why I had to edit the video is there's one viewer that joined the Zoom call that didn't want to be a part of it. So I edited them out. I think I got them everywhere. Hopefully that's okay. So while I had this task, I just sent it out and I was getting some feedback from people. I'm in the shower, and this happens to me all the time because I'm weird. And as I'm sitting there, like my vision just got completely glossed over, where the only thing that I could do or think about or see was these scenes from Moana. So I don't know what this qualifies as. This isn't like my goal when I go into a remote viewing session now is I want to let my intuition guide me. I'm going to go in with a plan where I have stage 1 through 3 with aspect discovery stuff. And then I'm going to go dive into each one of those and do, an S1 ideogram and sensory for S2, and then tangibles and intangibles and all that stuff. But if at any point in time, I'm getting so much data in and so many data packets are coming that the only thing that I can do is observe and describe, I feel like that's kind of the point, or like the good thing to happen, right? And I think in training, it's the opposite, where it's like, no, you need to control this. But what I got from working with my subconscious over time is it's like, I'm going to give you a ton of data. And if you accept this data and you go report it all, then we're going to work great. So this is kind of that. I was like, all right, I know exactly what it is. So I call this like F4, F5, because I know the tasking, I know it's Moana, but I don't know what's going to happen in the story. You have some ideas. But yeah, let's take a look at what I came up with. So I came up here, I basically just sat down to record a couple impressions, and I think I went for like 25, 30 minutes, which the recording will be after this. I don't think I'm going to do any extra stuff. So the tasking I gave everybody was to describe the main conflict or challenge Moana faces in the upcoming Moana 2 movie. Future predictive, digital, conceptual, like it just has every layer that just shows just how good everybody really is. So in this, I described the possible sequel for Moana and included themes of exploration, conflict, and unity. The plot centers around Moana encountering a young princely figure on a new island. I actually haven't seen it, so I don't know, but I don't think that was what was in it, where initial tensions give way to collaboration. The island is in turmoil due to some spiritual and environmental imbalances, requiring Moana and this other new male character to undertake a journey that mirrors both mythological trials and personal growth. Throughout, Moana embodies the divine feminine, helping the prince through trials in the underworld. Maybe the prince still is Maui, could be that. And I do know, like, now that we've gotten this, there's like a new cast of characters that came out. Helping the prince through trials in the underworld, symbolized by a volcano and 5 challenges. So there's the 5. A lot of us synced up on that. Their eventual partnership leads to the unification of the Polynesian islands. That was a big theme of going out. So like we did one, and now we're going to go out into the world and we're going to do more and get all the islands connected back. And it culminates in a dramatic escape sequence where the island is destroyed and reborn, kind of like the first one, but this was all fire and flames and such. The session blends elements of personal growth, mythical challenges, and the joining of masculine and feminine energies to restore balance. Now, Disney's been on that theme where they're not bringing in like a love interest. And yeah, I really thought there's going to be a love interest. I don't think they did that, but I haven't seen it. So I wish I could. Let's see here. One of the big ones I got is she's in a hut and there's a king there. It ends up being her dad. And I said there's like a large earthquake, this big energetic event that something happens. And right after we got all the info in, we started to look at trailers that were coming out because they like slow leaked it. And boom, there's a big lightning strike right on the thing. So I thought that was right on the top of the building, which I thought was great. It really was pretty good what we were working on. So what I was seeing is this portal that kind of descends down underneath some sort of mountain thing. I don't know if that's what it is. It looks like they go underneath into the water, but it is like a descent into the underworld. And yeah, I generated some images. So I think this is actually spot on based off of what I saw. Like she returns home, I guess. She's got a new sister and they're doing some cool stuff there, right? And I think that's like a really good shot from the scene. And I nailed that. I had the scene where she was like hanging off to one side of the boat. I believe that was already feedback. That was me trying to generate that image. They roll up to this new island. I basically had that there was this conflict as soon as she rose there. And they basically like attacked her and took her to this guy who was the king of the island. I mean, this was back in October or something, and the movie got released a month ago. So I think we have a little bit of feedback. And I think the feedback is that she gets shot in the neck or something by the pirate pygmy people things. And I don't know if she's taken somewhere, but like my theory that I had in our group debrief video was that she's taken to some new character who is like the leader of these things. But I really don't know. So they sat in this hut. When they were in the hut, that's when the big explosion happened. It looks like the big explosion was actually back on her home island. But these two go down into basically this, which is a volcano, and they find this portal. That's a concept that a lot of us had, is this spiraling vortex portal that they go and enter into. While they're down there, that's where I had the 5 challenges. I believe Orion had something very similar to that. There were big statues. There was this green mist. The green mist to me means there's something magical happening. Lots of mist stuff and kind of like a big challenger boss. Bunch of stuff happens. And once they kick it into motion, it's a little bit like Indiana Jones style as they leave. And basically the island ends up getting destroyed. Because Moana's people were there, this looks like maybe it was going to happen anyway, maybe not. But they end up ultimately taking all of the people off the island, and they watch their island get destroyed. But then, yeah, this is the romantic part. I don't think this happened, but I basically had like the two of these guys getting together. Now, this is a really good shot that David Powell almost drew this exactly. And I think there were shots like this, but I hadn't even looked up or thought there was any details about the plot of Moana 2. I didn't even realize it was supposed to be a TV show. So apparently they were doing a TV series and then they adapted it to become a movie. I didn't know any of that stuff at the time. I just knew that, my daughter loves this and there's a second one coming out. So what a great chance to go see if we could do it in this. And really the story that I had was the reunification of islands. And I think that was the theme of it, which is kind of great. Then basically the last scenes and stuff are her and this new guy, maybe it's like her new people or something, going off and they sail the world and stuff again. So, well, yeah, it's a fun session. This is kind of why I started the front loading scale, actually, this is a great example of knowing the tasking, just like future news, but you technically don't know what's there. So even though I'm unblind to that, there's still stuff that I'm blind to that I'm looking for feedback on, right? Like my impressions versus imagination. And did I interpret this conceptual thing correctly? So I had a really good time. But ultimately, this was a blind project for everybody else. I'm going to link to that video here that I'll probably be uploading at the same time. And it's just really cool to see everybody nailing a fully digital, future predictive conceptual target with nothing in physical reality. It was really exciting to see. It's really challenging, and everybody knocked it out of the park. So up next will be my raw audio, and if you want to skip that, go check out the group project, which is on the other channel for all the group stuff that I'm doing. The group that I created this called the Underground, just because Robert Monroe actually said that there's a psychic underground. So that's kind of what it is. And yeah, thanks for watching. This is Dave 2 on October 10th, 2024 at 9:02 a.m. I'm starting a project in the Underground and going to send it out to a few people. And I am going to do it blind by randomization. I'm probably going to hit 10 targets by the time that it's due. And I will put it into the pool. Even when people give me stuff now, I'm putting it into the same pool. So I don't know if I'm getting my task or someone else's task. I really don't know what I'm getting. But this one, I'm fully front loaded here at F5. And it is to describe the main conflict or such that happens in Moana 2. And while that's going to be released on November 27th, I think I set the due date for November 13th. And then we'll try and get a video out there of our predictions. To start, somebody was asking me where to send in the data, and I was in the shower and I started to get these impressions. So I closed my eyes and kind of let it play out. So at first, what I saw is I see Moana standing up, standing on some elevated spot that's greenery with stuff in the background. But there's this, if you took Moana and you said Mid-Journey, find me the king. The king is this her father is this big brawly dude, right, who's kind of like Maui. And you said show me a much younger version of him. And you know how when people are younger they're skinnier and stuff. It's showing me a guy that's a foot taller than Moana or something like that, who's skinny with a friendly face and stuff. And it's kind of the yin and yang to Moana. And I think some people were upset that Moana was left out the whole prince thing, just went on her own thing. So I wouldn't expect Moana to go down a route where a love interest gets involved, but that is where this thing took it. So at the end of Moana 1, they're explorers, they're going out and stuff. And kind of the scene that's getting played to me is that they show up kind of like the settlers to the New World, and they show up to an island, and you know how on the island they look off in the distance, and they're greeted and stuff by people there or whatever, and there's kind of hostility, kind of not, I don't know. That's what it feels like. And I can't tell if there's two impressions, and maybe this was a design decision. It almost seems okay, so I had a clairaudient impression that's well, obviously if they're now ocean travelers, then obviously they're going to go meet other people, right? That's clearly going to be what happens in Moana 2. But I heard that from somebody else speaking. I can't tell if this prince dude on another island is there to greet them, and he greets with some hostility or something, or happiness. That's what it is. It feels like there's a happiness between them, but that, like all Disney movies, it starts with some sort of conflict between the two. The other things that came out, so the duality there, which I didn't fully explain, is that either he greets them and is a little bit go away or something, right? Or he's kind of off in the hills in his own thing, and then it takes Moana a second to actually go meet him. They have to bring to them to, and that could have been a design discussion thing. This guy feels like a prince, but I think he's a king. And unlike Moana's father, he's skinny, he's tall, shirtless, long hair, but sometimes he puts it up in a pony or something. Yeah. So it feels like there's some conflict and tension between the two of them, where it's there isn't sparks from the beginning. Maybe it's that they lead us to think that and then subvert our expectations, and then they build their thing throughout. And it almost feels like they have a conflict on their island that's very similar to what was happening on her island. So she basically is we've been through this, let me help. And now there's this feeling that they kind of have like a similar cave with the waterfall. AOL's was that. But inside of this cave, there is a like glowing lava, alive portal mouth entrance thing, which AOL's is like literally this entrance into the volcano, which is the life of the island, which is what they personify in Moana. And that this is like a descent into the underworld. And that there's something spiritually wrong with the island that needs to be cured. I had like either a side impression or an AOL of the yin and yang, where like if she's if she's the divine feminine, then this guy is the divine masculine, and like both of them were off on paths where, you know, she was going to be alone as a woman, he was going to be alone as a man. They were both confident in their own regards, and then them coming together produces something even greater. And that the result of this joining is not that there's like these isolated civilizations on these islands, but that's kind of like they make a joint. It's these two together at the end of the conflict resolution stuff, after they solve the island conflict, after they build their own rapport between the two of themselves. They basically build like an island empire, right? So all of the islands become connected together. They're all aware of each other. They trade, they talk, they do that. It's no longer these isolated communities. They bring all of Polynesian culture together. So there's this descent down into the underworld. I think the first part, I think the opening scene opens with like Moana standing on a ship, right? You know, like her pose where like she holds an arm out and she's making like a triangle as she like leans over the side. I feel like it's a little bit like that, but then we get like a snap back to reality, and they're like, the fun phase, the honeymoon phase of being adventurers was over, right? And they've kind of settled into life on the island again. Things are working and stuff. And then this is like, she gets antsy to go do her thing again, right? So she kind of like makes a team of explorers to go out there, and which they're down for, right? But it is some sort of like journey where like they want to go farther or do something. You know what I'm saying? That kind of makes sense. So from there, they leave, they arrive at the island. They're greeted with some sort of like, some are happy, some are hostile. It feels like this prince dude who's sitting in his throne thing as she's there, but like talking to him is like a little bit hostile and skeptical and stuff. And then some sort of cataclysm thing happens. It feels like an earthquake. Like the island is rumbling, right? And he's like, you've angered the gods. You must leave now. And they start to notice all the things. There's the coconut problem. There's the no fish in the sea. There's all this. And they take it as that sign. She, through like conversation of like what she went through or something, they don't really give all the details on that, right? But they're like, we've seen this before. Let us help you or something. He shows basically their home of the ancestors, right? Where their people were. And they kind of have that similar conflict where they haven't left the island. That's the shared thing. It feels like all of the islands that are there, the Polynesian culture used to be out and about doing that. There's an AOL, and now they're no longer doing that. So it's not like her island was the only island that kind of like lost that. There's another thing here that's saying that there's a whole split version of this. That's basically like the Moana 2 is like Waterworld, where they end up going and encountering, maybe that is in the movie, another Polynesian culture out on the ocean. Right. So like they're out and about and they encounter, you know, another tribe that's out there, and they're like, oh, wow, this is so great. We're going to get friends with all these other people out here. And what happens in that conflict, it seems to be, it's like a pirate situation where, you know, Moana's crew is very like, oh, wow, great. And the other crew is hostile and they're like, wait, what? And it turns out that they're pirates and they're basically like fighting for prominence over the sea or something. Maybe that happens on the way over there or something, or I don't know when that happens, but something happens, right? But it does feel like that resolution at the end of the divine feminine and masculine joining together, like that creates this reign of protection over the entire region. And there's that cheesy, like the pirates eventually like join forces or whatever. Yeah, that stuff. So there is this thing down in the mountain. It reminds me of that scene in Frozen, you know, like where they're underground and they have to climb out. It's in Frozen 2. And then it's either before or after the river scene with like the monsters and stuff, right? But there's this like sloped angle up on a hillside. This is like a dark cave they have to go in. And then there's that portal. And they go into the portal of the island, which is basically like where some other, it's kind of like the village crazy lady from the first one, her grandma, is basically saying that you have to go here to resolve this conflict, right? This is awesome, by the way. I'm having a lot of fun. And I'm in total observation mode here. So they go into the portal thing. There's a green mist now. So the green mist is the magical sensation that I get. Oh, so everything past that portal door thing, they're expecting it to be like way worse. And like it is kind of crazy at first, but then they kind of come into this like normal thing. Now it feels like there's like 5 rooms or trials. Wow, this is reminding me of my U session, where each one of the trials and tribulations of things. Oh my God. Okay. The island is getting all up in the business of this King Prince dude, because the fact that he is not marrying someone and that they're not having offspring and everything, it's like breaking the tradition of the island, and that the whole ecosystem of it doesn't just depend on, it's not that like they're poaching the ecosystem, it's that the people on the island are part of the ecosystem, right? They're the ones who plant the trees, and there's the fish, and like they're the symbiotic relationship where if you remove the people from the island, then the island doesn't prosper itself in the way that it wants to. So the island is basically like throwing a fit in a way, right? Being like, hey, we need this. And it does feel like the resolution to it is the divine spark at the end, like they kiss or something. And that's the cheesy thing that heals the island. Does that make sense? Oh, man. So there's these 5 trials and tribulations that are down this dark area. And it feels like it's related to some sort of mythology, that there's some mythology of the underworld in Polynesian culture with there may be like an underworld and various things that somebody has to go. Maori? That's a word. Maori? Rite of passage. So this would be S4 data. Rite of passage. A test. There's like a test of manhood. It's almost like this king dude has to go through his quest. There was a thing, I don't know if it was from a book or something, but like a kid, I think it was from a book that we had to read in middle school or something, where the kid has to go out into the jungle or whatever and like come back and kill a panther or whatever. Does that ring a bell? And it's like in the tundra and stuff. But that's the AOL of it, is that he has to go through all of these trials and tribulations to prove his worth or something. And after he does it successfully, this is almost like the story isn't even about Moana. It's about this dude. And that Moana is basically, she's the divine feminine coming in to basically help him out. She's obviously the power figure here who's supporting him. You know what I mean? He has those moments where he has doubts and he's like, no, I knew it. Yeah. And she's like, shut up, get your ass up. We're saving this island and doing that. And she's like the one who actually brings it all home, kind of like drags him through the process. And then at the other side of it, he is a better person and such. So some things to dive into are like, what would these 5 things be? One of them feels like a gigantic lifelike statue thing that's kind of frozen there. Another one feels like some sort of underground water issue thing. Somewhere along the lines, there's these lava flows internally. I see a lava flow drying up. That like there was a lava flow. It's like a there's like a lava volcano, or not volcano, waterfall. But then also there's like the lava waterfall that's completely black. So it's like the lava dried and it's like just completely barren everywhere. I feel like they meet another character down there who's kind of like the goofy friendly character. Wow. It almost feels like they meet a collection of people or entities or something that live inside of the mountain. And then at the very end of it, they do meet the divine thing of the island. And once again, that feels feminine, but like it feels hermaphroditic. It feels like there's both the masculine and feminine thing, which would jive with everything I've been saying. That the island is this like combination of like the both of them. It kind of has like this chill conversation thing or whatever and says that it's happy or whatever. I don't know. There is some weird jump. So they're like very deep into the center of the volcano. Oh, damn. So all of that, the pressure flows and stuff, right? All of the pressure flows and everything that's going on there, like on the inside with like stuff dying, all that stuff kind of dies out, and it's basically leading to only one path. And that's that the top of their mountain is basically going to explode and their island's going to be destroyed. And these were not just a collection of warnings that he had to man up and stuff, right? Which is kind of true. But that they needed to get off the island because the island's going to be destroyed as it gets like recreated and stuff, right? So it seems like Moana's people help get everybody off the island. They build some new ships and stuff, but they also bring extra people with them. And they get off the island in like just the nick of time. They like run out of this cave and stuff. And they're like, yeah, everybody, like, we got to go. And there's this panic and stuff. And like lava spewing everywhere and everything. And they're grabbing stuff. Somebody like picks up a pig. Were there pigs in Moana? I don't know. But they like pick up a pig and are running with it and stuff. There's the chickens and stuff. But they're trying to basically save all these animals. They push everything into the water. They get out. And as they're going over the waves and stuff to leave the reef area thing, you know, like there's this like monstrous lava flow thing that goes down. And it basically like destroys the whole island. But they saved the people. It does feel like somebody didn't get out or something happened, but then it turns out that they like come back as a spirit or something. There may be some magical recreation of the island, a lot like what happened at the end of Moana 1. Wow, there's a lot there. That's 20 minutes in. There's a shit ton. I'm going to call it a day. End session, 9:22 a.m. This will be fun.